Florida is about to do something that no state in modern American history has ever done. They're proposing to completely eliminate property taxes for homeowners. Zero, gone. And if you're thinking about moving here to Florida or you already own a home here, you need to understand exactly what's happening right now and what it means for your wallet. And there's one massive catch that no one is talking about that could affect you directly. My name is Ryan Jabor, and I'm a South Florida luxury real estate agent, and this might be one of the most important videos that I've ever made. So let me give you some context before we get into the details. Florida already has no state income tax. That is one of the biggest reasons people are leaving New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, Illinois, California, and coming here. But property taxes in Florida are still very, very real. And on $1 million home in South Florida, you could easily be paying $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 in property taxes a year. Now imagine that number going to zero or close to it. That is what's being proposed right now in Tallahassee, and it has the entire real estate world paying very close attention. So here's what's on the table. The Florida Legislature has been working on a proposed constitutional amendment that would eliminate the non-school portion of property taxes on a homesteaded property, meaning your primary residence. We're talking about county taxes, the city taxes, the special district taxes, gone. You would still pay the school board portion, but the rest eliminated. And the most aggressive version of this bill, the HJR 203, actually proposed doing this fast. Not over 10 years, but starting January 1st of 2027. One tax bill from now if voters approve it. So here's where it gets interesting. And honestly, this is why I'm making this video right now, because the situation is moving fast. The HJR 203 passed in the Florida House, but it died in the Senate in March 2026. So what does that mean? Is it dead? Not even close. Governor DeSantis has been publicly pushing to eliminate these property taxes for homesteaded residents in his words, and he has already signaled to a potential special legislative move. And this is not over. This is very much alive. The question is whether it gets through both chambers with a 60% supermajority and then gets approved by 60% of Florida voters on the November 2026 ballot. That is a high bar, but the political momentum right now is firmly on the side of homeowners. Let me make this real, right, for you so you can actually understand. If you own a home here in South Florida worth, let's say, $800,000, which is pretty average in the South Florida area, then you might be paying somewhere in the range of $8,000 to $12,000 a year in property taxes right now, depending on your exemptions and your specific location. Under this proposed non-school portion, which is the majority of the bill, that goes to zero. We're talking about potentially $6,000 to $9,000 a year back in your pocket every single year forever. On top of already having no state income tax, the financial case for owning a primary home in Florida just got significantly stronger. So here is the part that nobody is talking about. And if you are planning to move to Florida, you need to hear this loud and clear. The current version of this proposal treats new Florida residents differently. If you become a Florida resident after January 1st, 2027, meaning you move here after the potential takes effect, you would receive a reduced homestead exemption, and you would need to maintain Florida residency for 5 years before becoming eligible for the full enhanced exemption that existing in Florida residents would get immediately. So let me say that again. If you move to Florida before this passes and establish residency, you could be grandfathered into the full benefit. And if you wait after and move after, you're in a 5-year waiting period for the full benefit. Now, I'm not a tax attorney, and the details of this are still being worked out in the legislature, but the direction is clear. Moving sooner rather than later could have a significant long-term financial implications. Now, I always give you the full picture, so let me steel man the other side for just a second. Eliminating $4.6 billion in local government revenue in 1 year, that has to come from somewhere. Schools, roads, fire departments, police, those don't just disappear because the revenue line does. Some analysts are pointing out that local governments could raise millage rates on non-homestead properties to make up the difference, meaning commercial properties, second homes, investment properties, and rental properties could see their taxes go up. So if you own an investment, real estate in Florida, this proposal is more complicated than it looks. And there's still a real question about whether 60% of Florida voters will approve this in November. That is for the high threshold. For context, the abortion rights amendment in 2024 got 57% and still failed. So here's my honest take as someone who works in this market every single day. Whether this passes or not, the conversation alone is already affecting buyer behavior. I'm talking to people right now who are accelerating their timeline to move to Florida specifically because of this proposal. The potential financial upside of established residency before a new resident waiting period kicks in real, and buyers are paying attention. South Florida, Boca Raton, Delray Beach, Palm Beach County was already one of the strongest real estate markets in the country for relocation buyers. And if property taxes are eliminated or significantly reduced for primary homeowners, the market's gonna go to a whole other level. So if you're thinking about buying in South Florida, whether it's this year or you're just starting to research, now is the time to start having real conversations about what is happening. I track this market every single day. New construction, resale, what's coming before it hits Zillow, and now the tax landscape that could completely change the math on owning here. Reach out to me directly. The link is in my description. I would love to help you figure out South Florida and to see if it makes sense for you right now. And if this video was helpful, just smash that like button, subscribe for more South Florida real estate content, and I'll see you in the next one.